I think one of the quietest forms of pain in Christian singleness is the feeling that everyone else somehow got something you missed. Like maybe there's a class everybody else took that you didn't, or there's a secret playbook that everybody else had access to that gives the rules. Maybe if you were more healed or attractive or emotionally healthy or more disciplined, maybe more confident or spiritual, this would be working by now. And because it isn't working the way you had hoped, you start quietly wondering if your singleness is evidence that something is fundamentally wrong with you. I want to say very clearly at the beginning of this video, though we'll say it throughout, your singleness is not proof that you failed, and you do not need to become perfect in order to be loved well. Really well. I think a lot of Christian singles, especially people who really love God for real, and are trying to live faithfully, we've internalized a very subtle message. And the message is basically, if I become healthy enough, healed enough, godly enough, then love will finally arrive. And I understand why people think that, because a lot of Christian teaching around singleness unintentionally reinforces it. Think about it. We hear things like, God is preparing you. Just focus on yourself. Work on your healing. Become the right person. And listen, some of that is good advice. Don't hear me wrong. Growth matters. Healing matters. Maturity matters. I'm not against growth at all. But somewhere along the way, self-development stopped being about becoming actually healthier and quietly became a hidden promise. A formula, a prosperity gospel, if you will. If you improve, you'll be chosen. And I think that belief creates enormous shame. Because if love hasn't happened yet, then the assumption becomes, well, I must not be ready yet. Or there must still be something wrong with me. I need to improve. The difficult thing is that the mindset this creates also makes it really exhausting to be with yourself. Because you're not simply allowed to be a person. You become a constant self-improvement project. Every disappointment becomes evidence. Every rejection becomes diagnostic. Every failed relationship becomes, what does this say about me? And dating stops feeling relational and discovery-based. It starts feeling evaluative, like your entire worth is being measured through romantic outcomes. And just don't think that's how God sees people. I don't think God looks at unmarried people and thinks, once they finally become emotionally optimized, then they'll deserve partnership. That wasn't the case for Jesus. That's not how dignity works. That's not how love works. That's not how relationships work, not in real life. And that's not the examples of so many of our forebears. One of the things I'm deeply passionate about helping people recover is what I call enoughness. And when I say enough, I don't mean perfect or finished or beyond growth. I mean something much more grounded than that. I mean, you already possess dignity, value, and humanity as someone created by God and in His image. You are not becoming someone worthy of love. You are learning how to participate in love as someone who already is. And that shift is everything. Because when people believe they must earn love through self-improvement, they date differently. They become performative, hypervigilant, afraid to be seen. They try to become impressive enough to secure attachment. But healthy dating actually requires something very different. It requires authenticity and vulnerability, presence, discernment, and the willingness to let another person encounter the real you. Not the optimized or curated version, not the endlessly self-correcting version, the actual you, which is the best one. Now, I think this is the question underneath all of this, because if what I'm saying is true, and I strongly believe that it is, then why do so many wonderful, genuine people still struggle to find relationships? And I think this is really where we need to get honest and answer this question. It's vital, especially at church, because people are going to secretly conclude, okay, if I'm still single, maybe actually I'm the exception to this rule that everybody's good. Not finding a spouse yet is not evidence of personal failure. There are many reasons dating can be difficult. Exposure Opportunities matters. Opportunities, timing, where you are in the world, your location, your skills relationally, confidence, discernment, all that matters. And sometimes people are carrying incredibly complicated life circumstances while trying to date. I have clients who are raising children, caring for aging parents, recovering from abusive relationships, working demanding careers, rebuilding their lives after enormous disappointment. And those realities affect dating, but don't make it impossible. That does not mean that those people are defective. It just makes them humans. And I think one of the cruelest things we sometimes do in Christian culture is oversimplify the complex realities into spiritual conclusions, as though everyone who desires marriage and hasn't found it simply needs more faith or more healing. Please, life is more complicated than that. People are more complicated than that. Systems, cultures are more complicated than that. So I want to say something carefully here, because I do believe in growth. I believe in healing and attending to your story. I believe in becoming more emotionally healthy and mature. Absolutely. But there's a very important difference between growth and self-rejection or self-abandonment. Growth says things like, I'm worthy of care and I want to become healthier. Rejection sounds like I'm fundamentally unacceptable until I improve. I hope you hear the difference between those things. They're not the same. And I think a lot of people trying to pursue growth from a place of fear are in the case of the latter. Fear that if I don't become enough, I'll never be loved. But fear is a terrible teacher because it makes you perform. Shuck and jive. And honest people make much better dating decisions than dating performance artists. What I've seen over and over again is that dating changes dramatically for the good when people stop trying to earn love. Because when you stop obsessing over whether you are enough or they like you, you finally have enough emotional space to actually evaluate another person clearly. You become less desperate for approval, less likely to ignore red flags, less likely to shapeshift for connection, and more capable of asking, do I actually like this person? Are we aligned in the important ways? Do we want the same kind of life? Is there mutual care and respect here? Can we build something healthy together? That's discernment over time. And discernment becomes very difficult when your entire nervous system is preoccupied with, please choose me. I also want to say this. Your life is not on hold while you wait for love. And I think sometimes in Christian culture, people feel trapped between two extremes. Either you're obsessive over finding marriage, or you pretend you don't want it at all. Neither of those are healthy. You are allowed to deeply desire partnership, and you are also allowed to fully inhabit your beautiful life right now. Those two things are not in conflict. Your life matters now, not because singleness is some magical spiritual state, but because your existence matters to God, independent of your relationship status. He doesn't waste. I don't want you to spend your entire life dating to try to become acceptable enough to be chosen. I want you to become grounded enough to choose wisely. And those are very different things. You were not behind. You were not defective. And your singleness is not proof that something is wrong with you. You are a human being learning how to navigate relationships in a very complicated world. And that is very different than being broken. So if you've been carrying shame or self-blame or self-abandonment or the constant feeling that everyone else has something figured out that you somehow missed, I hope this gives you a little bit of relief. Not because growth doesn't matter, but because your dignity was never dependent on your dating success in the first place. And if this is something you want help with, I would love to help. You can book a consult below or subscribe. That's why I'm building this entire series. It's built around everything I wish the church had taught us about dating, relationships, discernment, and marriage. So I will see you in the next video.